All right. Oh, I gotta fix webcam here. There we go. Hey, here we are. Another week. More Haskell hacking. More things to learn. More fun to have. So last week, if you don't recall, we were working on a interactive fiction engine. And last week we were implementing file saves. So we got like the basic serialization of the state going, which is kind of like the most basic step we can take. So that's good. This week we have to hook it up to the game engine itself and give the user the command to save and load the game. And then just to test out that our system works, there's a couple of things I think we'll might want to add to that just to kind of round it off, but otherwise we have save state. So I'm going to load up the adventure engine here, a package, project, whatever, and we'll get down to work and see how it goes. So the first thing, let's see, let's just get project building. Why not? Stack build. I think maybe we don't need to do that so much. Just run the tests if we need to do that. Source, adventure, engine. Okay. So I'm going to just run our little project just to give you a little taste of what it looks like. If you've been following along for quite some time, you probably already know. Oop, that's the wrong engine. -exe. There we go. So here's our little project window. Apparently I really like the color gray. I don't know. Different shades. No, nothing like that. Oh, well. Our goal today is to be able to, like, say, pick up the shovel. All right, we pick it up. It's in our inventory. And say we walk through the front door. We're now in the main hall of this creepy house. And now, like, I don't know, I gotta go eat some chicken fingers for dinner. And so I gotta save my game. I want to be able to type, like, who save or something like that. Right now the game engine doesn't know what that is, so it says so. But I want that command to work. So then it saves it to our special path, and we can quit. Like this. Boom, done. And then I should be able to, part 2 of it, we'll be able to load up the game engine, load up the game like this, go load, foo save, and bring us back to being in the front room, in the main hall, with the shovel in our inventory, and everything's copacetti there. So, here's our save game state, load game state. Nothing terribly fancy here. We are just literally serializing the entire game state and into a JSON file. So, you know, very, very, very basic. But it works, right? So it's not wrong. And that's good enough for me. Then, well, there's going to be some other stuff we're going to add to it, but let's get the commands going first. So handling user commands, we have this handle user command thing here. That's going to dispatch to any $ special thing here. And then we can send a user command result to that and do stuff. All right, so in this case, it checks if the input text is quit, sends the quit event, which tells the main loop shut down the GUI, because the GUI is actually kind of in control of the application. It's the main thread. So it sends a message to the main thread. The GUI thread says, quit. And it does. Shuts everything down. Otherwise, do an update. Right. So we got to cut in here somewhere and do our save logic. Which means we could probably case match on the text if there's multiple different bits of stuff we want to do here. So let's try that. I'm going to make sure that my GHCID running my editor here is going to be good to go. Haskell, sorry, process type stack GHCID. Oh, stack GHCI probably. Stack GHCI. That's better. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Then we're gonna just case match on input text. Why not? Of otherwise, update. And that should be exactly the same as we had before. Actually, I'm going to get the build watcher going so we can just compile it on the fly and run it as we make changes. Yep. File watch. And then adventure engine. And yeah. Okay. Cool. So we should be able to just quit as before, like we did. And that's fine. Okay. So that's good. Now let's handle the case for save. We need to return a user command result here, actually. So what can we put there? Even something. Yeah, update or quit. User command result. I think that comes from. Oh no, it's this. Okay. So we actually ultimately want to return update here, but we can do, well, we can't do other stuff because we don't have any kind of monad in here. Maybe not the right place to cut in and do stuff. This handles the input. How do we structure that again? Let me check the GUI code. Quit, was it? Yes. Presumably we would be able to do that here. It's a bit... Because essentially we can't do anything here other than return a command result. We can't like just arbitrarily write to a file here. This is Haskell. So let's tell the main, I guess we can add a case here. We can tell the main thread to save the game state. We provide an interface for doing that with our save game state and load game state functions. Let's try that approach. That seems pretty reasonable. So add a case there, and then we can just tell it to save game here. And then we can add a case here, or we go to save game. All right, we ultimately have to return this list. Oh, event response. Same diff, same deal here as well. Got ahead of myself. I don't think this is a good spot here either. Necessarily. Because now we're running into the problem where this has to return just this list of event response. Same thing. Same problem. So there's probably a way in Monomer for us to run IO actions off of there. So let's look for that. Tasks, I think it is, maybe? Yeah. So since Haskell is a pure language, performing side effects is not possible unless specifically denoted. Yes, this is true. So, running asynchronous tasks. We've previously used model as a response to an event. Another possible response is task, which receives an IO action that can run arbitrary code and returns a valid user event. This task will be launched as a separate thread, and when it finishes, its result will be fed back into the application. In case the IO action crashes, the UI will not be notified, but the application will continue running. It is up to the task to handle any kind of exception and report it with the appropriate user event. So, buyer beware. So in the example, so basically this is basically saying that we gotta be careful with our code. We ain't going to get any help. So in the example, we can see the task calling random IO, or random RIO, which returns a random number. Right. Typical IO kind of action. So typical use of task is to consume a REST API, shown the books example. Okay, so we basically, I keep saying basically a lot. Sorry, folks. So what we need to do, it looks like, is fire off a task. And supposedly we write some kind of handler that handles the task. Okay. They don't show us here how to write the task itself. But maybe it's in here. I know it's somewhere. We've looked at it before, or at least I have. So let's start with that. Smallest change we can make. Task something. I see, okay. Interesting. Okay. So the task, okay, so we put another message event that's going to carry the output of our IO action into an update, another message here that'll update whatever thing. Okay, so we could basically have some kind of IO action here that does the file save and then returns the name of the file that was saved, whatever we need. Okay. I think that makes sense. So we'd have like a save game, and then we could have a game saved in the past tense. So save game is the command, game saved is the result of the command, that if it was successful. Right, so then for now, this let's just make sure that this is actually going to work. Let's just like put len hello as our IO action, and we also need to add a handler for that over at this level. Game saved. It's going to ignore its argument. It's going to get unit in this case. We'll fix that. And we'll just return the model untouched. But we might want to put like a log message or something there to let the user know that that was done. So we don't have game saved because we have to add that to our app events. In fact, to be consistent here, we should probably add our little prefix app game saved. I guess it takes something of that. And let's just fix the name of that here. App. There we go. Now it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And then we have to change it here. Cool. So let's build. Let's check it out. We run the thing. And then we run save foobar. Okay. Well, we don't get any kind of output, probably because it's not given a standard output thing. That's what I imagine is going on there. So let us do, how can we verify this is getting run? We could just return a pure value. Let's say it's a string. Hello from task. We'll make the type take a string as a parameter, or text. Text. Should be doing text. And then we should be able to put a message here, model. And what do we do? What do we want? Let's put it in the error messages. Game state errors. Game errors. That we want to set it to game errors. Let's just cons the message onto it. Something like that, maybe. Yep. I didn't type that in properly. Sorry. Pop. Oh, it's gonna be game error. Of course. It's not just text. That would be silly. So that's kind of a good reminder to add a game error for these sorts of things. Say, like we have one for save load error, it looks like. So save file error would be another one. Not like that though. Let's just wrap it up in that. Save file error. Not model, sorry, message. What am I doing here? Save file error over there, please. Okay. Here we go. Compiling. Running. See if this works. Save. Don't know what you mean by save. I don't have my error message. I just get a little too excited. Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is. I think I know what the problem is. We're running into a different error branch. We're not even hitting this branch. That's what the problem is. Katoosh, shootoosh. So before we even hit there, I think it's checking if this is a valid thing to do or not. A valid command. I think that's probably what's happening. Handle prime. So that handles verbs. Oh, there's a special way we do handling those user commands. That's right. Slightly special, especially special. Yeah, handle what we call handle user command model of there. Front end quit. Okay. Sort of special. No, this should work. I think that's right. So how come we're hitting I don't know what to do with that? It's hitting the unrecognized verb case. Which, by the way, we didn't add our save file. Let's fix that now. Let's fix that. Get the whole block. And, are there any other errors other than that one? No, those ones are fine. GUI. So we have the keystroke enter, which was the app input received event. That fires off, which updates here. That does the handle user command. So it should be triggering this task. And then sending out this event, app game save when the task is complete. Should be getting to here. Oh, it's match. Yeah, of course, it's matching save exactly. So that's a mistake right there. For this, we need better handling, input parsing for these commands so they can take arguments. That's what I'm getting wrong. Okay. So it's trying to interpret it as a verb when if it did this, it would go, okay, failed to save game from the task. So that works. Okay. So let me hydrate here. We need to parse this command, this input, to handle these special commands so that we can react to them appropriately, of course. Now, the simplest parse we can do is just take the string input, break it up by spaces, and match on the parts. Kind of sort of how we do, like our verb parser isn't very smart, and we have a to-do task to fix that up. That would be good enough for this, perhaps. So, instead of pattern matching right on the text exactly right away, we get the input text. We break up the input text. I don't know what splitting functions I've got right now for text, but I think text has something like that. Breaking strings. Break on. That's just the first one. There we go, split on. Yeah, okay, split on or split. It's probably the one we want there. So, yeah. Input equals t.split is space of input text. Okay, and then we can match here with quit. Quit doesn't take any arguments, so it doesn't matter what the rest is. Save, takes a file name and some other stuff. The save game, so we'll need to pass that in, I guess, to save game here eventually. Is space, yeah, you come from data.car. Yeah, I'll just import it. Yeah, that's probably no name clashes in that one. All right, unused, but should be fine. So now when I go save and space and whatever, it should still do relevant task. That's good. So now let's make the file name get passed across. So let's save game type. Takes a text argument now. really a file path. We should do that, which I think is compatible as kind of an alias. Right. Text. So file path is an alias for string. So that just means we got to convert this. Or, as I like to do better that way. Do I not have text in scope? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So that means maybe I just using the wrong one here. No, I think it's pack. I'm being a dummy here. Nope. Okay. That was good. It was the wrong one. Don't jump to conclusions. Okay, yes. And then we have to pattern match off of stuff. Save game now takes the fname parameter that we can pass along here. So instead of hello from task, let's say hello file name, fname. That should compile. Although we probably might have a precedent operator precedence thing going on there. So let's fix that. Skadoosh. Bazoom, bazoom. What did we do? Oh, right, text, because fname is file path, not string. Pack it back up into a text. And what do we got here? More precedence problems. More precedence problems, but we fixed it. Okay. And now we should be able to do save laka. Hello, Salakadapakaf. Good to go. Sweet. On little baby steps, but we're making it. We're doing it. Okie doke. Next. Next, we need to actually, I think that we have enough information now, we can actually call our save game function here and return the file name that was written to, or return the file name, I guess, as a result. Some kind of message that we can put there. Let's see. So, save game state, takes file path. Game state, I think we have that in scope. Does this accept T, though? So we need to bring this up into an IO action, because that's all that we can run here. Which isn't a problem. We should be able to do that pretty easily. Let's try it. So, let's go to the GUI here. And I think we're probably going to move this into a function. Game save. Might put this somewhere else, but I'm going to put it down here for now. Do game save. It's just got to be an IO, but it takes a parameter file path. We need the game state passed in as well. And IO, I think that should be the right type. Yeah, so let's pass that in as well. Oh. Do game save, yeah, fname and model. I think the type should check out, hopefully, if we're right about that. But we want an IO text, right? So we need to return the message, so not quite. Some kind of message. That should be fine. Okay. So from here, file path, game state. All right, we have save game state, which ultimately returns a tuple of file path and text. Really, the text is going to be like the text of the what was the file contents. It's not super useful, but we can ignore it. And if nothing else forces it, it'll just get thrown away. It's kind of a little extra work, but it's not in a tight loop or anything. It's not a big deal. So the return file path, return f path. And we're going to run this in IO, so we're going to bind it like the result this way. And we have to run that except T with save game state. And we have to give the save game state the file path and ultimately the game state itself. And then we return some kind of message. Now we get a file path back. So we can return our message like saved. We need T dot, because the file path is a string. T, it's pack, yeah. Something like that. And return f path. Don't have that in a scope. Ooh, ouch. What a way we have control dot exception there. I forget. Right, run except T is going to return the either. Which is fine. So what we could do there is just pull that, turn it as a result, and we'll just pattern match on it. And remember, we can't throw, like any exceptions we throw in, like IO exceptions here, aren't going to be caught, right? They're going to be kind of ignored by the runtime. Hey, Countorin, how's it going? Nice to see you again. I'm good, thank you. Just implementing save files and load files. Well, today we're integrating it into the GUI in the front end. Hope you're well as can be in these confusing and strange times that we find ourselves in. To the left, we have the save error. Return something there. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're good there as well. So thanks for tuning in. And in the case of the write, that's where we can do return file path stuff and return our message there. So on the left, we have to do kind of the same thing. Right. Failed to save game. Maybe we want to return the exact error message here. Maybe we just want to return the file path that we failed to save. Maybe if we had like debugging, I would save put the save file error, but I'm gonna ignore it for now. And put it there. Yeah. Super strange time. Super, like, really, really bad times too. We're getting on. You know. Can't give up. Gotta keep rocking. So we're gonna pack that. What did the F path say? And just let the user know that we couldn't save it. Sorry, something happened. Leave a little note for myself there, just to say like we need to add debug logging. Might be useful. Cool, let's see, does our save command work? Well, first, let's change up the game state so we're not tricking ourselves. Let's pick up the shovel, walk into the front door, and save the game here. So, save into test. Well, looks like our runtime here is gonna emit things to standard error at least, or standard out, whatever stream it's using here to print this on. Error processing widget task. Tilde test.foo open file does not exist. Of course. Okay, so we have one kind of problem with our system right now is that we're not actually creating the file if it doesn't exist. Right, which we're not technically testing in our test. Like our tests only test that the save state loads and returns the same state and stuff, but it doesn't test like actually like creating this path and does that path exist? Like we don't have that yet, which is why you got to integrate integration test stuff too. Can't just have pure tests. Got to do both. Anywho, be that as it may. The baby step to fix that, the simplest thing we can do to make that work, is to write a file. Look at our implementation here. Call write file. Right, the directory is the problem. I bet if we created the directory, it would work. So let's try that first. And then we're probably going to have a task to, when we start the engine up, to do some creation of this path for us, make sure that it exists so when we go to write these save files and such, that it's there. So I'm going to just kind of make dr this path / dot venture engine saves. I got like -p in there, and I think that'll make it work. Test.foo. Okay, still doesn't think that worked. Still complaining about that. Let me just make sure that that actually created the path. Kind of assume that would. Venture engine / saves. Okay, there's nothing there, but the path is there. It's a valid path. Did I type something wrong? This really should be F name, maybe. And I type everything right on this side. If I touch that file, okay. Yeah, so that's the full name. Soul. Yeah. Let's try it again. Let's do it. Maybe it's to do with the tilde in the file path. Maybe Haskell doesn't like that. Can't resolve it? No, it's still getting no such file or directory. Okay. So we call write a file the path and the file contents. Our implementation of write a file in IO is using t.readFile, which from text file text.io, something like that. Takes a file path, a text, returns an IO action, write a string to a file. This file is truncated to 0 length before writing begins. That should be just fine. Okay, well, let's... wonder if we can debug trace the file path it's getting. Or if it's the... well, let's test the tilde thing first before we get into tracing any kind of debugging stuff. I know what it ought to be on my system, but maybe we need to provide like proper full file paths as such. Just wait for that to actually rebuild. Okay, so save, what do we call it, foo.test? Okay. Maybe it actually worked. Okay, that worked that time. Yeah, I guess it is the tildes. Cool, good to know. Cool. So, we'll need to figure that out as well. File path handling. How to get the root of the user's home path where we're kind of pretty sure we're allowed to write files on behalf of the user who's running the program. Okay, file path is ultimately what we want. I think maybe system. From base library. Probably makes sense. System.environment. Otherwise, there might be like a file path handling library we can use, so we're not kind of reinventing the wheel on that part. If it's not in base. Yeah, environment variables, not really. Not temp files. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Let's look at file path library. Try that one. File path. Can it resolve home directories? Wait, this is in base, isn't it? I don't remember. Path separator is path separator. Extension, path methods. Split extension, take extensions. All those are handy functions. Take base name. Tribe, JSON tribe, take tribe, blah, blah, blah. File name, normalize. Right. Go file path. Okay, make relative, is absolute, is valid, and all those kinds of normal things you would expect. I think we have a system.file path, I think. Let's try that. System.file path. Yes. Okay. And let's test out this function normalize. Normalize Z or S, yes, S. Tilde slash dot adventure dash engine. No, it's still gonna do that. It's not gonna figure out how to get the user's home directory base. Okay. Might need a library for that. Home directory. function, something like that. System.directory. This will be handy. Create directory if missing. We'll need that. Does it also have home directory? Yes. Okay, perfect. Sweet. Okay, and looks like it's pretty cross-platform as well. We already have that one. I think we gotta add it. Okay, good. Not a problem. Slight diversion. We're gonna add directory. Yeah. Perfect. We will go back to engine and just get rid of this tilde stuff. We'll get rid of that. Yeah, okay. So then our home directory base root will be lift of the function get home directory. Yeah. That's how you import it. System.directory. Perfect. We need a monad write file implies IO, so that should be fine. I don't know what it's complaining about lift for. Oh, we only have write file. We don't have general IO here. Okay, good to know. So, save game state here. And this is the effect of using this kind of constraint-based style of programming here. Right, is we don't have like general access to IO in this function, right? So that's what GHC is telling us here. Can't actually run this, and even if I try to like lift this or lift IO this, it's not going to work. Right, we'll still get an error here because there's no context for monad IO, which would say like you can do any kind of general IO. I could add that here, right? Or I could demand that, you know, if you want to do any kind of IO action, general IO action, you have to do that somewhere else. This function's only about writing files. So where you want me to save the file, you have to pass in the whole path ahead of time, which isn't too bad of a thing to do. So let's try to stick with our restrictions here. And we won't even have to construct this. Something else will construct it for us. And we just go to fpath. So we gotta, that should handle it just fine. Okay, so system directory isn't used in here necessarily anymore. We'll get rid of that. So now if we want to construct that path, we actually have to do it in our do save game handling code here, which does have IO. So really this file path is the file name. And we could lower the restriction on that and make it a text if we want. And let's see, what else do we need to do? So we got to turn that into a full path. So we're going to need that system directory stuff here. And let's do that. So we get the home dir root. And then we can just run get home directory. And save game path is home directory dir root with, we're going to need file path here as well. Saves, or no, adventure and dot adventure ending. Yeah, there we go. With slash saves, and we append on the f name at the end. And instead of f path, we call it save game path. Now I don't know why it came up left when it kind of worked last time, so let's keep an eye on that. Yeah, let's see, so that takes care of that. If this compiled, no, of course it didn't. I didn't think it would. So that's, yeah, wrong there. Because this is no longer just fpath. It should be, it can be actually just fname. And that's not in scope because we need system.file name, file path. Sick. Okay, yeah, so we just have to, that's just a simple one, sorry. Yeah, we change it to a text. It could still be a file path. This doesn't really matter. Hopefully it works. Yeah, so then we actually did need that t.pack or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I probably shouldn't have changed it. Whatever. It's kind of like one of those little tiny annoying paper cuts I encountered in Haskell early on was this switching all the different. I don't encounter it so much these days, but it used to bother me quite a bit more. And maybe it still kind of bothers me a little bit, but I just got used to it. But it's that whole like switching between text or string and byte string and lazy byte string and lazy text and all this stuff. So you end up, sometimes I used to end up with code that would be littered with like pack and unpack and this and that. From lazy and from strict and to the strict and all that. All those conversion functions. So that compiled, which is good. So let's quit this and restart it. For some reason, skip that. Maybe because that file already exists. Test.foo. Let's remove foo.test. Okay, try this one more time. Foo.test. So it still says failed to save game, but it does say saved. Bit weird. But is the file actually created? And it did. Cool, cool, cool. Not quite done yet, but the basics are there. So why is it coming up on the left branch with failed to save game, even though it technically succeeded? We didn't throw any errors if it worked. That's really weird. What did I do here? We just append the message that gets returned back from this doSave function. Which should be, I expect in the successful case, saved. Kadoosh. That's a little strange. Right? Like, should be just, if it actually is hitting this, fname should just be the file name the user passed in. And yet it's returning this string, it looks like, packed into that string. So odd. Oh, right. That's why. Okay. It's like, why did it... I must have done something weird. And I did. We're just unequivocally wrapping the response that we get back from saved in an error. Not even thinking that this should probably be something other than text, so we can discriminate whether it should be a save file error or save file success. Okay, so let's fix that. Save file error was a game error. That's where it's coming from. Failed to save game. Da, 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 da. Probably don't need the period on the end, because that's going to be a file path. But yeah, we need this maybe shouldn't be text, but some kind of return type that can help us discriminate on that thing. So like a save file result. File saved, otherwise file not saved. Text. Okay, and so instead here of just plain thing in the fail case, we can do pure file not saved text. Or file saved. Maybe just text as well. And we'll just put pack app name. Yep, so then app game saved has to take our new result type. Save game result, I think. Save game results. Save file result. Sorry. Save file result. Yes, that's what I meant, GHC. Thank you for being so helpful. Sheesh. Excellent. So now that's better. So when we can fix that code now. File not saved. That's really fpath. And we can do save file error, fpath. And then we have app games saved for the other case. File saved. What do we put here? Well, it's got to be, unfortunately, game errors to put it here. I don't have like a general text message box in the UI yet. So maybe the game's log error thing should be a text, just a list of text, and we should just render all the errors into it. And that way we don't have to have an error type for something that technically isn't very interesting as a game error. Call it save file success. Cons it on, just as we do in the other case. So that's looking, code's looking very similar. Maybe we can reduce some duplication there with a little helper function. But let's just make sure that works once it compiles and everything's good. So we don't have types for those save the success case yet. In game error, So we need a save file. Save file success. Like this looks a little funky, obviously. I hope it looks funky to you. It looks funky to me. But having save file success in your game errors, a bit strange. So we'll clean that up. Let's just get it to work first. Oh, sorry. I typed the wrong thing there. It's supposed to be ampersand. Super. So let's go there. Let's pick up that shovel. Let's walk the front door. Let's save the game. Cool. Saved food.test.3. Awesome. It should also clear that out. Clear the input out after we do that. Okay. And of course we know that that's going to be there. Saves. Boot.test.3. There it is right there. Perfect. So let's go to the to-do file. I think we got a couple more things to do on the to-do file for the save command. We have to, I don't know if well, the save command is technically working. So I think we could call this one done. Yeah. But we've discovered a new issue with the way we're doing things, so let's add a new to-do item for that. The error log area should be text. Under the input bar, I'll leave it as a question mark. Refactor out the file save success error type out. It seems like a thing we should do. Okay, I'll move that up a little bit. Cool. Yeah, so the error log area, we should refactor that out to be text so that we can not have inappropriate errors. We can display general metadata type messages to the user, like the file was saved or not, so on and so forth. Cool. Let's work on that. Let's commit this first, though. Go ahead, apply this change. We'll add save and to save games. I should probably have like a change log going soon. Well, there's some things we also needed as well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. This home root directory thing, we need to have that on startup so that it creates the adventure engine path in the user's home directory. File path startup stuff. Oh, what did I mess up? I messed up my file. Oops. I don't remember what I messed up there. Yeah, let's add it after this one. Yeah, so file path, startup stuff. The game engine should ensure that save file paths, config paths, etc. exist at startup. Creating them if necessary. Sounds good to me. Okay. I want to do that one first. The error stuff should be done too. That's more of like just a clean up nicer thing. Technically the feature kind of works right now, so I'm happy leaving it for the moment. Let's make sure that the home directory stuff gets created at game startup. So I've kind of a support type code. I'm gonna put it in here. Ensure directories. Now this one is going to need general I/O. This is going to be able to. I don't want to split up all that stuff. Or can it read directories? Can it write directories? All that stuff. I'm perfectly happy giving that one I/O type stuff. Could even be a straight up I/O action. This. Need some imports. I need to bring directory back into the engine. Okay, system directory. Create directory if missing. So it takes a bool that creates its parents too. I don't think we want to do that. Or maybe we do. We don't want to create the root directory. I'm not exactly sure what that entails. We can do it one at a time. So the first thing we need is the user's home directory, user home root. And we do that with get home directory. So then we can ensure create directory if missing. And that will be user home root with our special .adventure engine. And we can create directory Missing user home root, adventure engine with saves. And there's some problems with that. What are they, GHC? What am I doing here? Oh, right. You need the bool first. So false. False. You should be happy with that. Okay, so we have that function now. Now we just need to make sure that when we start the game engine, that this gets called before we start the main loop. So start is where we do that stuff. Ensure directories. And we need to do here. Sounds silly enough, I call it. Boom. Cool. And this will probably be also the place where, once this becomes more of a engine that we can load content and all that stuff to create the initial game state from and that kind of stuff. So that'll be nice. So ensure directories, make sure that's all there. That should work now, so that if I have not used this as a user, this adventure engine game that I'm going to play, I can make sure that those exist when I play it. So let's try that. Cool. We start up. I save foo.test. That should be the only file now in that path. That should exist. And it does exist. Hopefully, no. Oh, it's a directory, so it does exist, yes. And foo.test. Right, and if we list that directory, it should be the only one there because we just created it and all that stuff in there. So that's good. That's good. That can be committed. Oh, and the gym starts up. Ensure that the games, etc. exist. Okay, good. Knock that off. How much time we got left? About 20 minutes or so. So let's see how far we can get with the error log refactor to make that text. Let's go to our type, game engine, or game state. So list of game errors, we want that to be a list of text. Let's just break it. See all the lovely errors we get. Let's go to the first one. So here, we have to convert G to a text. We have a function to convert a G to a text. Sorry, E. That's going to be to text, game error to text, something like that. Game error text. Might not even need the braces there. Okay, that works as well. fix that one. Okay, and then the only other ones are in GUI there, so we should probably fix those. The ones we just added. So game error text. So I'm not a super fan of that right now, but it's good enough for the moment. Simplest thing that works, and we'll refactor before we commit that, probably. Let's see if we can't fix that up. Let's see. Render error labels. Yeah, 49. Yeah. So we don't need to call gamer text on that anymore. We can just map label directly because it's all text. Booyah. Okay, so now that means we can, now that we have that, we can remove that funky error we added that we don't need. Save file success. That's good. It's going to break over here where we use it, so let's fix that too. Save file success, no longer game error. We could just be like saved. Saved some text. And there we go. Boom. Much better. Cool. Much better. Okay. Quit. There's one small improvement I'd like to make before we close out, since we have a little bit of time with that. So when applied, this will change the error message log to text, so that we can render other messages and not pollute game error type with non-errors. Super. And now, the last thing I wanted to do before we close out for tonight is when we handle those save command, clear out the input before we continue on. So I think we might have that in the handle. We have a game state in here. GUI. We do the task, and we can do, hopefully we can do a model in here as well. Model and task. In the model, I want to just clear out the input buffer. Should be set to empty. Oops. Go. And so we could just save food at 13, 1, 2, 3, and clear input buffer ready for the next command. Now, if I do save foo.test.123, it says it saved it. I think it'll overwrite. So that's good too. So that's automatic pen built in there. So I think that covers pretty much everything that we need for that. For the time being, anyway. So let's commit that. When applied, this change will clear the input buffer after handling the save. Do we want to do any quick little refactors we could do here just to keep the code clean and tight? Actually, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna really remove any duplication here per se. We probably could actually. We could have like app game saved results. And we could let bind the value, the part of the text we want to emit. Message refit like that. And then we can do this as a case match on the result of file not saved, or even the message itself. It's not terribly different. We have the two messages there. We just do in, and then we just have this model update once. And instead of this, we just replace this with message. And then we get rid of 2. So as long as we put these in here, file not saved, be able to save file, which makes the error in game error also not necessary, and I think that's probably a good thing too, because it's not really about the game engine necessarily. It's kind of like a meta thing. It's like the operating system failed to save the file for some reason. Who knows? So we should probably do something like that. And saved. Path. I think we might need to pack that as well. Let's see. Game saved. I accidentally deleted an extra character. Ah, okay. So we don't need that. Probably don't need it on the other case. Yeah, okay. A little over eager with the packing and unpacking. There we go. Okay, so we can also remove that from the engine. That sort of file save error. And we might even be able to remove save load error when we get to that part as well. We'll keep an eye out for that. Cool. That cleans up that part. That's good. I like that. Refactor out. Right. File save errors. Game errors. And that's looking okay. Debug logging, we should probably leave in there. Engine stuff. Your directory's looking good. Save state's looking fine. That's all looking good too. Input handling. Not the greatest parser, but it's serviceable for now. So that's okay. Okay. Let's just review the commits here. I think we can squash this all down into the one. Except maybe the error message log to text. I think we can commit that one separately. Although it does change app game saved. Not isolated enough, maybe, but let's see if we get any. Let's erase that down. Yeah, we'll just squash it all down. So we added the game engine. I'll ensure its directories exist at startup. The save game command writes the save games to the path. Changed the error message box. Take text. So that we could keep save game errors out of the game error type. And still display informational stuff to the user. And that's it. That looks like a fine commit. Let's push it. All right, so the next thing we need to do, or at some point we need to do, is potentially add, and I'm going to put this lower down on the list, but add versioning, file save versioning, save file versioning. Now, a lot of games, I don't know if a lot of games I've played lately do this where, you know, they're constantly releasing new versions and of their software. But when they release a new version, which automatically updates, say, if you're using some kind of game store or something like that keeps your games up to date. The new version doesn't read your old saves. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine. I know there's technical reasons for it. Everybody's games are different. There's reasons for it, but I like it when games like release a new version that can still read the old files and kind of upgrade your save files and things like that. Because when you write something to disk, right, you don't know how long it's going to be there. Your software might change several versions over time before a user's like, oh, I'm going to open that file again. And if suddenly they can't anymore, that kind of sucks. It's not fun. So I would like to have some way of serializing with our save file some kind of version tag that goes with the game engine, that version that produced it, and have a framework in place for keeping those or upgrading those save files as new versions of the engine get released and game authors use it, right, and release their games with new versions of it. So that would be nice to have a framework for that in place. So that's what that's all about. And yeah, that's all the time we got for tonight. So thanks for tuning in and hanging out, following along. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. That's usually Tuesdays around 10 after 8 in Eastern Standard Time, or Daylight Time, whatever it happens to be in. And yeah, give us a follow or whatever if you're on Twitch. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know what to do. I'm also on Twitter for now at Agent Ultra. The code lives here if this is your first time dropping by at Adventure Engine. So you can give it a star, you can watch for whatever you'd like. Check it out. And that's what I got. So may all your monads be free. May your types always check. And I'll see you next week. Take it easy.